Ladies and gentlemen, Kristi K.
How do you break the frame when it's all that you know? How do you change the past and learn to let go? My feet are trying to steady walking on this tightrope, stepping in blind time after time, a prisoner of my own mind. I let my dreaming run, the angel fell behind. Now I'm the only one, nowhere for me to hide. Better days are looking at me laughing on the other side, learning to cope, clearing the smoke. I'm begging for someone to get me out. I built this prison for myself, filled it with my guilt, threw away the key, but now I'm breaking free. What good is heaven without silence in my cell? Took the pain to see there's so much more to me. How to break the frame when it's all that you know? How do you change the past and learn to let go? Better days are looking at me laughing on the other side, learning to cope, clearing the smoke. I'm begging for someone to get me out. I built this prison for myself, filled it with my guilt, threw away the key, but now I'm breaking free. What good is heaven without silence in my cell? Took the pain to see there's so much more to me. Ooh, I'm waiting for something else. Ooh, someone to get me out. Ooh, This room feels like all I ever knew. With a bloom, paint the world in front of you. This room won't be all I ever knew. Won't be all I ever knew. I built this prison for myself, filled it with my guilt, threw away the key, but now I'm breaking free. What good is heaven without silence in my cell? Took the pain to see there's so much more to me. Ooh, paying for someone else. Ooh, someone to get me out. Ooh, I'm paying for something else, something I'll never fail.
Wow. Kristi K. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is really exciting. This has been a long time coming.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about it for a while, so this is really great. And real quick, I just want to say thank you to everybody that is tuned in to the Lockdown live stream to see Kristi K. Typically, we do this every Sunday at 6 p.m. We're doing a special Monday episode for Kristi, so I am super excited to have you all here. And also make sure that you check out her social media pages. You can find her on Instagram at Kristi K Music, find her on Facebook at Kristi K Music, and on YouTube it's just Kristi K, and you can find all of that in the description down below. So go over there, give her a like, give her a follow, subscribe.
Yeah.
Now, Kristi, you've got some stuff coming out.
Yes, I'm very excited.
Yeah, you've got Dead End Roads, single Dead End Roads coming out October 29th.
Yes.
And I imagine that's going to be streaming on all platforms. It's going to be everywhere.
Yes, streaming
Awesome.
everywhere.
Awesome. So make sure you guys check that out. Dead End Roads, October 29th. And yeah, definitely try to check that out. You know what? Because here's the thing. I don't normally announce this kind of thing, but October 29th is actually my birthday, and I would take it as a huge gift to me if you would listen to her song on that day, because if she can get enough views within, I think it's like a 20-hour period, especially on Spotify, it really helps with the algorithm. So make sure you go and check that out.
Happy early birthday to you.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so what do you have for us today?
Today I'm going to be playing original music only.
Love it.
Only.
I love it. That's my favorite. Perfect.
Bold move.
Absolutely. And now you've got some newer stuff as well.
Yes, I will be
That's
playing
exciting.
everything from my first EP, Kings and Queens. There's 3 songs on that. You just heard Prison, which is the second song. You can watch the music video for it now on YouTube.
Do it. It's awesome.
It's really fun.
It's cool.
Really cool. It was shot in Gunnison, Colorado with my friend Aaron Mason, who's a photographer and videographer.
That is wild. You've had, we're going to touch on all this later, but I mean, you're a crazy creative person and you've had some wild adventures and you've shot music videos like kind of all over the country at this point, which is awesome. So yeah, folks, make sure you go and check out that YouTube channel because she's got a lot of really cool music videos, which there's also going to be a music video for Dead End Roads.
Yes.
So stay tuned for that. All right. Well, do you want to go ahead and jump straight into it?
Yeah, let's play some more music. This is a newer song, unreleased, unrecorded, called Better Than You. Wake up, can't sleep, my dreams don't come easy. Who's she? She's not me. These extremes are making me crazy. I realize I'm not right. It's wrong to give you my power, but no more. I'm sure I deserve so much better. Yeah, you owe me for the last time. I'm done crying. I won't lose peace over you. And don't worry, I'll be fine. In no time, I'll be doing better than you. Yeah, you owe me for the last time. I'm done crying. I won't lose peace over you. And don't worry, I'll be fine. In no time, I'll be doing so much better than you. Was in love, my brains were making up stories. She gave up on us so easily. Hardly even miss me. So you're gone, you're long gone, turning my fantasy into agony. Oh yeah, yeah, you owe me for the last time. I'm done crying. I won't lose peace over you. And don't worry, I'll be fine. In no time, I'll be doing better than you. Yeah, you owe me for the last time. I'm done crying. I won't lose sleep over you. And don't worry, I'll be fine. In no time, I'll be doing so much better than you. She's me. No extreme can make me crazy. I've been wrong and right. Oh, and that's my power. Giving my all, I still fall. My mistakes are what make me better. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you owe me for the last time. I'm done crying. I won't lose peace over you. And don't worry, I'll be fine. In no time, I'll be doing so much better than you. Yeah, you owe me for the last time. I'm done crying. I won't lose sleep over you. And don't worry, I'll be fine. In no time, I'll be doing so much better than you. I'll be doing so much better than you. I'll be doing so much better than you. Thank you so much. Have I even changed? Am I just the same as I've always been? No, I feel different. Told me I was weak, weak like you, but my bones don't break like your brittle ones do. But my muscles grew stronger. Now my heart beats hard. Got no time to waste. Show me what you got. Show me love, but don't show me anything at all. Play by my rules, or we don't play at all. I said show me love, but don't show me anything at all. I don't need you. I've got my song. I've got my song. Have you even changed? Or are you just the same as you've always been? I bet you're no different. Told you I was great, great like you, but you wouldn't believe me. No, you never do. So my muscles grew stronger. Now my heart beats hard. Got no time to waste. So show me what you got. Show me love, but don't show me anything at all. Play by my rules, oh, it don't play at all. I said show me love, or don't show me anything at all. I don't need you. I've got my song. Got your own way of things, and I know what your love brings. So don't you bring it to me, bring it to me, bring it to me. You've got your own way of things, and I know what your love brings. So don't you bring it to me, bring it to me, bring it to me. You've got your own way of things, and I know what your love brings. So don't you bring it to me, bring it to me, bring it to me. Show me love, but don't show me anything at all. I don't need you. Got my song. I've got my song.
Wow.
Thank you.
Is that one of the new ones?
Yeah.
Because I don't know if I've heard that one yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's great.
Thanks.
Jeez. All right, so I got some questions for you.
Sure. I am in the hot seat. I should be expecting this.
Yes, yes. All right, so first question, I want to dive into your backstory a little bit and how you got into music in the first place. So when's the first time that you realized, like, when did you know, like, oh, like I can sing. Oh, I can play guitar. Like, oh, I can make a career out of music.
Okay. So I heard You Were Meant for Me by Jewel, I think, I don't know, sometime when I was in middle school. And I was like, I want to do that. That's really cool. And then there's so much that happened in those like formative years. But I remember being in the car and singing like along to Spice Girls. And my first CD was Mariah Carey. And I was just like, yeah, I can sing Hero.
Yeah.
I couldn't. But I thought that I could.
Right.
And then I started doing some musical theater and really fell in love with being on stage. So I, pursued that for a little bit in conjunction with performing opera and,
Oh, wow.
And just, studying voice. And I took guitar, I played tenor saxophone in marching band.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah.
Wait, you play sax?
Not so much anymore. I haven't picked it up in forever, but I probably
Right.
could pick it up. Yeah, I used to play tenor and bari sax in marching band.
Oh, that's
for
cool.
like what reason? I don't know.
'Cause sax is dope.
It is dope.
It's a sax. What other reasons
I
do you
just
need?
like really
It
love
exists.
music,
Yeah.
and I wanted to play everything, but it was music always came down to singing for me, and
Yeah.
so like I can play guitar, but I'm not a guitarist. I appreciate that. That's very kind. But yeah, I've always loved singing, and
Yeah.
then I took a little break from it for a while, but recently performed in a talent competition here in the beach, and it was through the inspiration of another local artist by the name of T.A. Gatling, who just released his first EP.
Yeah, big shout out to TA.
Yeah, he did a fantastic job with that in conjunction with Jared Farrell. But I saw his band Lab 154 performing in the Jesse Chong audition, and I was like, I can do that.
Nice.
So I hadn't picked up my guitar in a very long time, and then just decided to give it a go.
Oh, it's awesome.
That was 3 years ago.
And that's what kind of kicked off. Is that what like kicked off Kristi K?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Yeah, because so you got a recording deal out of that, right?
Yeah, I won a recording package with Will Beasley Recording in Richmond, Virginia, and we recorded my first 3 tracks in his studio, and that was due to winning the Jesse Chong audition,
Right.
which was such an amazing opportunity and so much fun. I'd never done anything like that, and to work with somebody so professional and creative,
Yeah.
such as Will Beasley, I was just like, this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, and the results, I mean, they speak for themselves. I mean, they're
Yeah.
awesome. So when was the moment that you realized like, oh, like I can actually like do this, like I can make this my
Yeah.
full-time thing? You start like getting gigs and really kicking into overdrive and really become Kristi K. I mean, you've kind of transcended just being like, oh, like, hi, I'm Kristi, I play guitar and I sing, to like, you're Kristi K now. Like, that's how people view you. People who don't know you, you know?
Oh, wow.
So-
yeah, it's weird, too, when other people are like, hey, how's it going, Kristi? And I'm like, I have no idea who you are.
Yeah.
Hi! It's always very exciting. I love
Yeah.
when, that happens, but it's a little overwhelming, too, because I'm like, what do you know?
Right. Right?
I guess to answer your question, I think that spark happened in the studio, because until that point, I was just kind of like messing around. But
Gotcha.
then when I heard myself on a record, I was like, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And then I started really like playing around with my image and what I wanted to look like and how I would present myself to the world if I was an artist. And the more that I sat with that and played with it, it's still, going to continue to evolve as time goes on.
Right.
But I remember like seeing people like Beth Turner and Marie Claire Evans and Felicia Hoyos and Nadia Cause play live music here locally as like female musicians. And I was like, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Like I've met all of them at open mic nights or performances and stuff like that, and just been blown away by their professionalism,
Absolutely.
their ambition, their talent, and just feel like so inspired to be here in the Virginia Beach area, working alongside of them in some capacity.
Yeah, well, and you've mentioned quite a few of the heavy hitters out here as well that are all doing amazing things. So shout out to to Beth and to Nadia and to Felicia. Yeah, I mean, we have an incredible music scene out here.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and it's very supportive.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that about our scene.
Yeah, it's, and it's kind of cool because I showed up at a time where I think you were still kind of like, you were somewhat established, but you were still kind of getting started. I know like the image wasn't dialed in yet, and you were still mostly doing open mics, and I don't know, but at the same time, like there was like this, you had an air about you. For a while, I was like, I can't talk to her. Like she's, like people know who she is. She's out doing stuff. She's like hanging out with Jesse Chong.
Gosh,
and like
literally just put my pants on one leg at a time. I'm so weird and awkward.
No, but that's, it's the funny thing about perceptions, is you really, you really have no idea what effect or what other people are actually thinking about you or what effect you're having on other people.
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool looking back and just seeing the progression from where you were just 2 years ago to where you are now and what you're doing now. It's like a world apart. It's amazing to see. It's inspiring, really.
Thank you.
And you've got some big projects in the works. Again, Dead End Roads, October 29th. And you're working with Jared Farrell now on some stuff.
Yeah,
so
we've
that's
done
going to be
a couple
super
of
exciting.
projects together so far. We released a song off of his latest album, Kira,
Yes.
called The Darkness.
Yep. You crushed it in that, by the way.
Thank you so much. I am so honored that he allowed me the opportunity to be on his record, and I had so much fun recording with him in the studio. And then we went on to record a nonprofit song, which you can hear online I think on my Instagram and on his Instagram. And that's kind of like the birth of this idea of doing kind of more commercial and things cinematically.
Yes.
So yeah, and the track is called Lift Me Up, so you can watch like the visualizer for that on my Instagram and on his Instagram, which is really cool.
Check it out.
It's really cool,
It's
guys.
awesome.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it, and I wish that more people, I wish I could put it in the hands of more people, but one thing at a time.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
One thing at a time. Yeah, is that the piece of advice you would give to like somebody trying to get into this business? Actually, like
I would say don't. I would weak. No,
you heard it here first, folks. Don't try to get into this business.
I say that jokingly, but honestly, like if you like playing music and you think that you can do it on a serious level, like just go for it. Do it. Like you are your own boss. And we talked about entrepreneurship a little bit offline before we started the live stream. And it's a very exciting enterprise and a beautiful opportunity that we live in Virginia Beach, Hampton Roads area, where at any given night of the week, you can go and see really good live music.
Isn't that
for free?
Isn't that wild?
It's wild.
It's crazy.
People out here listening to Nate Sachs, Anthony Rosano, Jason Kale, Corinne Grace. I mean, just amazing heavy hitter artist. Celeste Kellogg. You can go and you can't watch Celeste Kellogg for free. She's got paid shows, guys. And I mean, some of those other people that I mentioned also do too. But oftentimes, I think we take for granted the fact that we can go and see these amazing, prolific artists
anytime that we want.
Anytime.
Yeah. It's pretty unreal. That was one of the things that really shocked me when I first moved down here. I remember the first time I went out to the ocean front, and there was just live music all over the place, and I was like, what even is this? Like, this is crazy. Because you would think, because, for those who don't know, I'm from Boston, and, we've got the New England Conservatory, we've got Berklee School of Music, we've got the Boston Conservatory. I mean, we've got a lot of music and musicians in that town, not a lot of venues. Not a lot of, there's some bigger ones. There's like a jazz circuit there, which is cool. There's a couple places. There's a few venues, but it's not like here. Not even close, actually. If you want to find live music in Boston, you kind of have to look for it. You're not just going to trip and fall into it. Whereas here, I mean, you almost can't get away from it.
I wouldn't want it any other way. I love it.
Same. Yeah, it's amazing. It's cool that there's a place where musicians can actually
make a living
doing music, without necessarily having to, basically like without having to be like an Ariana Grande or something, right? You know, you can just like
You can play live music.
yeah, you can
3
play
or 4
live
nights
music.
a week.
Yep, and make a living. It's awesome. It's really cool.
It's incredible.
So let's talk about. Well, we touched on some background, right? And I want to get into songwriting, but first I want to talk about some of your adventures / misadventures. I want to talk about this bus. I love the bus. I have an obsession with the bus. And I think a part of that is because when the pandemic was really kicking off, I remember, I think it was like a month or two into it, you called me just like out of the blue. And we were having a conversation, and you were like in the middle of the country somewhere doing something with this bus.
I had just gotten to Colorado. I remember it distinctly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. You know, and so we were talking a little bit about how you like got caught in this pandemic, and it was just weird because you're driving through all these like towns, and they're like ghost towns practically, and you had no idea why because you weren't in the know yet. You know, so I think that's probably why that moment sticks out. But let's talk a little bit about that trip. Like, how did that happen?
Yeah. So 2 of my friends gave me a school bus to drive across the country and pursue my music. And I think when they did that and when I did that, I didn't really like understand what it was that I was trying to accomplish. I just knew that I wanted to go and play music. I wanted to travel. And so I kind of set off for California with the intention of like busking, finding venues to play in, you know, giving people my CD, you know, just doing it.
Yeah.
So I left on March 13th of 2020. And when I got to Asheville, North Carolina from Chesapeake, Virginia, where I left, everything was closed. And people were wearing masks, and just, I was like, what happened since I left Virginia? I don't understand. And then I figured out pretty quickly. I got the internet. So like I looked it up.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because there was definitely a part of me that was like, do I need to go back to Virginia?
Right.
And then like 98% of me was like, no.
I like it. I like it.
We'll see what happens. So my original plan of showering at gyms or like things like that completely out the window. Yeah. Just like certain things that I had planned about living, you know, off the grid in the school bus had to change on the road. And, you know, the ability to play gigs inside of venues went away.
Oof, yeah.
He said, oof.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I didn't let that deter me. I would like set up my guitar with a little rolling Behringer, like single speaker and like a mic stand and just like pump out the jams for a couple of hours every day in a random location. And sometimes I would make like, you know, decent, reasonable tips. And then other times I would play for nothing. Maybe just like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's how busking goes sometimes.
It is, but it was like, I was proving it to myself that this is what I wanted to do, whether people were listening or not. Yeah.
So on that trip, was there any particular moment that really sticks out in your mind, something that was really memorable, or a place that you went to where you're like, oh, I got to come back here, like this is awesome?
There's so many amazing moments that happened. I lived on the bus for over a year and traveled for about 9 months. So it's hard to pinpoint just one, but if I had to pick one off the top of my head, I would say Amarillo, Texas. And the bar that I played at is no longer open. I ended up there because my bus broke down and they had a truck repair shop that actually could manage doing the the work that I needed done on the bus. I found a hotel room to sleep in, and I just went to the corner store to go get something. And then I asked the lady, I was like, hey, is there anything going on tonight? Like, do you know of anything in this area? She was like, yeah, there's actually open mic night at this one particular bar. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll go check it out. So I went, checked it out, and like made a bunch of really great connections and just met some of the most beautiful, amazing people. And they were like, do you want to play a show tomorrow night? And I was like, yeah, I need the money. My bus broke down. I could use a break. And it was just one of the coolest experiences, just to like have people see me and appreciate what it was that I was doing and ask me to come back. I tried to play as much of like the country and like rock that I knew, because like that was the demographic, I guess. And I don't know. Yeah, it was just a really fantastic experience.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. It sounds...
I signed my first guitar that night.
No kidding.
Yeah, there was a gentleman that came out and played at the open mic night who was very good, and he wrote his own music, and he was like, "You're a star. I want you to sign my guitar." And I was like, okay.
Foreshadowing. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just so humbling for somebody to ask me to sign their...
That's cool. Yeah.
Their guitar. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's pretty amazing. See, people see something in you, you know, and you're going places. I mean, you're doing it. You're like doing it for real. You know, you're not letting anything. You didn't let a pandemic get in your way. You know, I don't imagine maybe a nuclear war. Nah, you know what? Knock on wood.
Please don't
We're not gonna,
ever say that.
Short of that, I think you've got this. You know. So, if there was like one lesson that you could really take from that whole trip and experience, right? If you could boil it all down into one lesson, I'm sure there's a bajillion.
Oh my gosh,
right?
yeah.
Which is a real number, by the way, for those out there. Just now you know.
Bajillion.
But listen. Yeah, so if you could boil it all into one lesson, what would that takeaway be?
For me, it would be trust God. I went on faith and continued going on faith that I was going to be provided for, even though I didn't have any source of income, you know, guaranteed.
Amen.
There was a lot of situations where I was actually in danger, and I survived. Times when, you know, the kindness of strangers was made really prevalent to me. Yeah. It was very humbling in a lot of ways. So I would say like the biggest lesson that I took away from that trip is to trust God.
I like that. So if somebody was interested in taking a trip such as this, what advice would you have for them? Like, is there any like kind of preparation advice, or like what would you say to somebody that's like, oh, I want to do this same kind of a cross country trip where I'm busking and just, you know, getting out there and experiencing the world a little bit and trying to, you know, do music on the road? Because it's very different from just like hanging out in your local community doing music. Oh yeah, for sure. I would say make a plan, be flexible, know that plans have to sometimes change and at the last minute. Right. Save some money for emergency situations and for adventures that you might want to do. And then have like a backup plan, you know? You know, like there was never any time when I could probably could have just like abandoned the bus and just like flown home or whatever, figured it out. But I was like bound to determined to get the bus back here to Virginia Beach, even though it kept breaking down. And the last time that it broke down was in Atlanta, Georgia, 9 hours away from home. Oof. The most expensive repair that I could possibly think of, aside from it just being completely totaled. It was, yeah. So I would say if somebody wanted to take a trip like that, know what it is that you're trying to accomplish, maybe have a game plan. Mine was honestly just to like go and prove it to myself that I could do it. So if that's your goal, I mean, that's a reasonable goal. Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, sometimes it's the call to adventure, right? Yeah. Like, when that hits, you kind of have to go after it and just see what you're made of. Yeah, and for sure. I think that's, you know, in whatever form it takes, that's a good thing for everybody to do at least once in their life. Oh my gosh, yeah. You know, like go take a risk, like go do something crazy and see what happens. Absolutely. Know, find out what you're made of. Most people are, you know, they're used to their daily routine. Yep. But I think that switching it up like that and going off grid for long periods of time really strengthened me in my own solitude. Yeah. Yeah. So I would say highly recommend 10 out of 10. Just be prepared for the worst to happen and hope for the best. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right, let's do a couple more tunes. Okay. And I want to talk about songwriting. Absolutely. All right, this next song is Separate Ways. You can watch the music video for that now on YouTube and catch the streaming on all platforms. This is Separate Ways. I might be stuck in my ways. It's getting harder to trust my body. Well, isn't it such a shame?
don't even know your name, barely remember anything. We might be one and the same. I never wanted to copy, so step right up to the plate. We're running out of space, it's time for somebody to make their move. I'm ready to chase our truth. Unsteady hands break loose, so heavy, no excuse for being cynical. Wait, you're always running away, don't complicate. Sleep in the bed that you made. I wanna burn everything that's trapped in my brain. This cycle breaks as we go our separate ways. I can't get over the taste. It's like you're pulling a string behind me. My mind's all over the place. I thought that I could escape, but now I'm begging you to make your move. I'm ready to chase our truth. Unsteady hands break loose, so heavy, no excuse for being cynical. Wait, you're always running away, don't complicate. Sleep in the bed that you made. I wanna burn everything that's trapped in my brain. This cycle breaks as we go our separate ways. You're always running away, don't complicate. Sleep in the bed that you made. I wanna burn everything that's trapped in my brain. This cycle breaks as we go our separate ways. What's left of me? Take another piece. Take all that you need. I need a miracle to keep me on my feet, or something spiritual to bring me to my knees. I'm like a criminal, but now I'm breaking free from being cynical. Wait, you're always running away, don't complicate. Sleep in the bed that you made. I wanna burn everything that's trapped in my brain. This cycle breaks as we go our separate ways. You're always running away, don't complicate. Sleep in the bed that you made. I wanna burn everything that's trapped in my brain. This cycle breaks as we go our separate ways. Thank you. I see you under the streetlight, casting your shadow in the night. Oh my, black leather jacket is pulled tight. I'm feeling electrified. You got me living the high life. I can show you mercy or reach you alive. Emotions slip into overdrive. I'm ready to fly. Cause we're the kings and queens of all we want, like 17, making love in the parking lot. Oh baby, please come give me all that you got. Don't serve this fight, don't stop me. You're sending shivers down my spine. I can feel the fever heat up our whole night. I'm drunk on love, got me feeling right. Got what I desire. Cause we're the kings and queens of all we want, like 17, making love the back end. Oh, baby, please come give me all that you got. Don't serve this hurt. Don't start me. You're everything I need when I'm running. I pull on my strings and whisper your deepest thoughts. My body feels. I promise. So don't you stop. Don't serve this hurt. Don't serve me. Ooh, 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 hold me tightly, I'll be what you wanna be. Kiss me, fight me, but just don't ever leave. Passion, burning fire from the ecstasy. It's ruling like a king, now I'm feeling like a queen. 'Cause we're the kings and queens of all we want, like 17, making love in the parking lot. Oh, baby, please come give me all that you got. Don't serve this hurt, don't serve me. Ooh, 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 ooh.
I love that song.
Me too.
Yeah, that's a great song.
Thank you.
So, on that note of great songs, I want to talk about songwriting. In particular, I want to talk about your songwriting.
Sure. Yeah.
So, and I know we kind of, we already went over background a little bit, but when did you write your first song?
High school. Yeah, I used to bring my guitar and my tenor saxophone to school like every day.
Yeah.
And
So you were one of those.
I was a total band nerd.
Awesome.
Like chorus,
This one time at
dweeb,
band camp?
theater. Like I was yeah. And
Yeah.
we talked about this earlier.
Yeah.
I was a mathlete. I was a weird, nerdy kid. But I thought it was like really cool that I could like carry both of those instruments, and they were kind of heavy. So I was like, yeah, I'm carrying these instruments to school every day. And I lived a mile away, but I would sit in the hallways after class, and I would make up songs for the other students that I was in school with.
Oh,
and
that's dope.
yeah, I can't remember any of them, but I remember this one song that I wrote called "The Rock," and it was dedicated to one of the kids in our school. And yeah, it was like a special needs kid that he like stopped by and he was listening to it, and I was like, I wrote that song, but I don't have a name for it, and he named it "The Rock."
Nice.
So then it became "The Rock," and yeah, it was like really special. So I think that was actually my first song that I ever wrote.
Wow.
And I think my sister knows how it goes, so I should ask her like, how does it go? But then like Kings and Queens, the song that you just heard, that was actually my first like real delve into songwriting.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it happened in the studio.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
I had like
Jeez,
ideas
color me
and
impressed.
oh, thank you. I had some ideas of like what I wanted it to sound like and like lyrics and stuff like that, and I brought that to Will. And then that was kind of like a project that him and I birthed together.
So how many songs have you written then?
Oh, it's a lot. It's probably over 100 at this point.
Okay, all right. So you've done a ton of songs, because one of the things that I've been asking people a lot lately is about like how much writing have they done before they actually got their first like song that they were like, oh, okay, like this is a good song. Like I know this is a good song, because at least in my experience, I had to write a lot of garbage before I got to.
I still write a lot of garbage every day.
You think that ever stops?
No, and I think that it's a really beautiful, interesting just part of the process.
Yeah.
I was really blessed that I had the opportunity to write with Will in the studio, and that Kings and Queens happened from that.
Yeah, that's
but
amazing.
It really molded and shaped me, I think, as a songwriter and as an artist, because his approach to songwriting is really interesting.
Right.
And I learned a lot just by watching him and communicating with him, and then leaving the studio and then continuing to work on my own projects and then bring them to him and him be like, basically like, that's crap. And me being like, you're right. It happened enough times where I was like, all right, I just need to get better.
All right, so he really is a good producer. Like,
no, he's an amazing producer.
Yeah, he doesn't play around.
He's okay. In his defense, he's never said anything that I wrote sounded like crap, but he's like, this isn't very good, Kristi. And I'm like,
it needs work.
You're right.
I've got notes. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more subtle than I got you. Yeah.
Yeah, but songwriting happens in a moment. It happens over weeks and months. It's a lifestyle. It's not something that you can like really, I think, figure out in your lifetime.
That's interesting. All right, so let's talk about that process then a little bit. What does writing a song typically look like for you, or is there a typical like, oh, like this is how I do it, you know, or is it more just like kind of whatever the process is today is the process today?
There's a couple of different ways that songs happen that I've noticed so far. One of them is collaborations. I work really well collaboratively with other artists. I find like new ideas coming to the surface really quickly. I've written with local artists like Nate Sachs, Beth Turner, also with Will, and then with some of my other friends here. And those sessions always seem to be like really monumental because it's like an explosion of artistic creativeness in a very short period of time. But usually what happens with me is I'll have a melody or a lyric pop into my head. And then I will, you know, just record a voice memo and kind of sit with it for a little bit and flesh it out when I have time. Other times, like I actually try to sit down and write a song. Like I'll have a concept or a theme in mind where I'm like, I want to write about how I feel about this.
Right.
So I'll write out lyrics most often first, and then I'll, you know, try to write the music afterwards.
That's interesting. So you start with the concept typically.
Yeah, Kings and Queens and Prison and Separate Ways all came from concepts of just like mind maps and ideas and lyric paragraphs of things that I had like bubbling in my head and what I wanted it to sound like. And then it didn't really take structure until I had somebody else to like bounce it off of.
Right. I think that's a clever way of going about it. I've found, at least when I first started writing songs, it was just like these like lyrics would just start to, you know, flow out. And then the problem was that it's like, okay, like the first verse makes sense, and then the chorus, and it kind of works, and then like the second verse it's like a different song now, you know, and it would just kind of go off the rails. And it took me a long time, probably longer than it should, to realize like, oh, you need to figure out what you're writing about, boil it down to a concept, and like put that at the top of the page and like refer
there's
back
like an umbrella that it can all go under that makes it
cohesive.
work.
Yeah.
I've by no means like figured out anything, I think, when it comes to songwriting.
I think you're wrong.
Wow. Thank you so much. I'm constantly stumped by my own ideas.
Yeah.
Like I will start on something and feel so confident and then peter out before I can actually finish the tune. So that makes me feel like I'm not good at it.
Yeah. Okay. I get that feeling.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also have a bunch of songs that are great. They're recorded. You've got music videos. You've done more as a musician. I mean, there are plenty of musicians and artists that are like, oh, I'd love to, if only I could, if only this, if only that, if only, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, you've made it actually happen, and you know, and we don't have to get into everything, but it hasn't been, you know, just sunshine and rainbows. Right.
Bro.
It's been hard. It's been
so hard.
Yeah, you've gone through some stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
And despite that, you figured out how to create opportunities for yourself and capitalize on those opportunities and actually make something. You know, so I get where you're coming from when it's like, oh, well, you know, I get stumped sometimes,
It's just
but
the
it's
inner
like
critic.
Exactly. You know, but you've got real results, tangible results that people can listen to, and they're results that are really good.
Thank you.
You know, so it's impressive and it's inspiring.
Thank you. Well, I hope by me saying that it encourages other people who are feeling the pressure of their own inner critic.
Yeah.
Because that inner critic can be really loud. But Thank you for all of your kind words, what you said. I do try to remind myself when I hit those low points or those feelings of like defeat, like, why am I even doing this? Like, does anybody even care? Like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I will watch my music videos, or I will listen to like recordings that I've made that I think are good. And I'm like, no, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I can do this.
Absolutely.
And I have to like, you know, hype myself up and be like, okay, do it.
Yeah.
Like, just do it.
Well, and that's channeling a little Shia LaBeouf there. Just do it.
I love Shia LaBeouf. He's so weird and awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? He's a wacky dude. But I think it's, you know, people talk about how they're their own like worst critics all the time. They're like, oh, like, you know, and I think in a sense it's important to have that super critical and analytical, you know, side, but at the same time, what I never hear is that you also have to be your own biggest supporter, right? You have to be your own hype man.
Hands down.
Nobody ever really says that. They go, oh, I'm my own worst critic, I'm my biggest critic. And that's like, that's something that in my own work, I have a love-hate relationship with that, you know, because on the one hand, it drives me, and that's why I can get better at the things that I want to get better at. You know, the key, obviously, though, is don't let that voice defeat you, right? Let it drive you, but don't let it defeat you.
That's good, yeah.
You know, but at the same time, it's also like you do have to take those moments where you go, yeah, I just made this whole video. Like, I just put this record together. You know, I'm kind of badass.
It's a good feeling until like the next bad thing that happens.
Well,
but those, honestly, those bad things that happen are blessings.
Yes.
Because if we didn't have any obstacles to overcome, we would never push for anything better.
Yep.
And I've noticed every time that something really difficult or hard happens in my life, it opens up new opportunities for me to overcome and ways for me to be more proud of myself than just the songwriting and the music. It's like, oh, like I'm strong enough to get past this.
Yeah.
Like this is very strengthening for me. And I hope that that encourages other people to overcome whatever obstacles in their life, whether it's time, money, lack of ambition.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah. That's a huge one.
It is, because it's kind of scary to be like, I'm going to do this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The inner critic, like whatever it is, a lot of times it's time and money.
Yeah.
But we all have the same 24 hours in the day. Mm-hmm. I have to remind myself of that when I start having little pity parties. I'm like, I don't want to do it. I'm like, you only got 24 hours. What if this is your last one?
Yeah.
That kind of puts it in perspective. Like, oh.
Big time.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I will say, the worst moments of my life, with a little bit of time after the fact, I realized those were actually the best things that ever happened to me.
Wow.
Yeah. The worst things that ever happened, add a little bit of time, the best things.
Was it the time that made them the best?
I'm
teasing you.
Yeah. Well, it's the realization after the fact.
Yeah.
Where you go, like in the moment, you know, it could be something awful, you know,
or hurt.
But after the fact, you know, like for instance, it was because of something bad that I ended up really coming back to music, right? And had it not been for a certain event, we would not be having this conversation. I wouldn't even know you. I wouldn't be doing this live stream. I wouldn't have the studio. I wouldn't know and get to work with the amazing and talented people that I get to. It was because of a very bad moment that all got to happen. If that bad moment hadn't have happened, this whole future wouldn't be, this timeline wouldn't exist.
We'd be in a different butterfly effect
exactly.
situation.
So
now I want to know what the thing is.
Well, we could talk about that offline.
Okay.
But the point being is, you know, and this is something that you know, some of the people watching, if they've ever had a conversation with me, might have heard me say before, but there's this this Taoist story that I really, really like, or principle, rather.
Okay.
It goes like this. There's a Taoist farmer, and he's got this horse, and the horse runs off, and everybody in town's like, oh, what a shame, that's terrible. And he goes, maybe. Well, the next day, a horse comes back with 6 wild horses, and everybody in town's like, oh, you're so lucky, that's amazing, it's incredible. And he goes, maybe. The next day, his son is trying to break one of the horses, falls, breaks his leg, and everybody, oh my God, your son, your only son, how is he going to help you with the farm? He's got a broken leg. It's so terrible. The farmer's like, maybe. Well, the day after that, men from the army come by to conscript young men to go fight in the war, but they can't take the son because he has a broken leg. So the point of the story is you never know when fortune is fortune and misfortune is misfortune.
Those are absolute facts.
Yeah. So you don't know what tomorrow is actually going to look like. So before, you throw a pity party or before you get too excited, like take a step back and just go like, hey, like.
That's a really good point. The being excited thing is one of the hardest parts about doing this, I think, is that like there's constantly things to be excited about, but excitement can become distraction if it's taken to the extreme.
Yeah.
And
like we talked about celebrating, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We talked about celebrating offline before you guys tuned into this live stream, and it's hard to make time to celebrate in a constructive way when you're doing so much on a daily, weekly, monthly basis.
Yes.
But I'm going to strive to do better at that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think there is something to that. Like you do need to enjoy your victories a little bit, but at the same time, like we talked about, it can be kind of difficult because you're like, all right, I got this thing done. Now I got 10 other things I got to get done. Yeah. And then there's really no time to like enjoy the moment of like, oh, I just accomplished something. Like in your case, like, oh, I just released a new single, October 29th, Dead End Roads.
Thank you.
But I do hope when that releases, you take at least like an hour, maybe more, maybe the day to enjoy it.
Okay, so what I've learned so far after releasing, this is my fourth single, my fourth song and my fourth music video.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I'm actually going to plan something special just for me as if it was like a date, if I was going to take myself on a date. And nice. I'm going to make the time to do that because I remember when Separate Ways came out and like I really wanted to celebrate and all of the people that I wanted to celebrate with had other things going on and they were busy in their own lives and I just let it fall by the wayside.
Yeah.
And then looking back on it, I was like, man, I really missed an opportunity. Yeah. So I want to make a point to do that for myself just as like, you did good, kid.
Yeah.
You
done good.
It's hard work and it's so much time and money and like blood, sweat, tears, everything that goes into making this art.
Yep.
So it's like, yeah, I think it deserves to be celebrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, it does. It takes a lot to put a song together, to get it recorded, to get it produced, to then put together a music video for the song, and then actually like figure out how to release it, how to market it, how to do all that. Getting all that done it's an enormous undertaking.
It's debilitatingly scary.
Yeah. Takes a lot of work, and you learn a lot of lessons along the way.
Yeah.
And hopefully it starts to get easier, and hopefully, the quality of the product continues to always get better and bigger and more creative and cooler and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's definitely it's a process. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of people. But
it's the most fun work that there is.
Isn't it though?
It is.
Yeah.
It's the most fun. It's better than any day job that I've ever had. I can promise you that.
Oh, that's for sure. Yeah, you won't hear any argument from me on that.
Yeah, I love that I don't have to ask somebody if I can go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you can just do what you want to do. Yeah, no, it's there's a level of freedom to it.
For those of you who are tuning in, I was in the United States Navy for 8 years, so that's where that comment came from, like having to ask to go to the bathroom. Like most jobs, you don't like. It's not that really a thing, but when you're in the military, they own you.
Yeah.
And you can't go pee unless they tell you it's okay to pee.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Go Navy.
Yeah. No, but go Navy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about the Navy. I'm just saying it's different than working another regular job.
Right. Yeah. So what is next for you?
What do you mean? Like in music wise?
Yeah, music. Like where do you have like a plan for like what you want to be doing like 6 months from now or a year from now? Like what does that kind of look like? Let's put some good vibes out in the universe here. Put those plans out there.
My plan is to go into the studio for a month and record my first full-length album.
Nice.
Yes, and I'm very excited about it. My plan is to do that winter of 21, 22. And then my plan is to go on another tour
Nice.
So 2022 is going to be probably like an East Coast like tour.
Yeah.
I plan on playing like small to medium venues and solo acoustic. I want people to hear like my music.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my plan. I want to take this bigger body of work and share it with new audience members, and yeah, I have lots of plans for all of those songs coming out. I plan on making a music video for as many songs that I can, and I'm gonna do that I think in the beginning quarter of 2022 before I leave the area and go on tour, and then just release singles over the year, and then probably do like a full album type of a situation towards the end. That's my very loose,
right, that's the goal,
written in sand plan.
I love
what
it.
I don't like, what will actually happen, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but it's good to be thinking about these things and to like have those goals. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if you just absolutely nail every single one of them.
Aww.
So I'm really excited to see it. I'm excited to hear it. I think that's going to be a banging record. So yeah, that's going to be cool.
I have some really cool songs planned for this record, things that I've been holding on to that I don't play acoustically that I can't wait for people to hear.
Yeah.
I think Kings and Queens was a great start, especially just because the support that I received. But I was very new as an artist, and like I think the themes of the songs were kind of just like immature in a way. Not Prison, because Prison was like really just my survival anthem, but
right.
Kings and Queens in separate ways were like, I want to make a fun pop song.
Right.
Which is not a bad thing at all.
Yeah.
I had so much fun and I learned so much in that songwriting process, but then through that I realized there's so much more that I have to say.
Yeah.
And so much more that I have to give than just bubblegum pop.
Right.
Which,
well, you're developing as an artist and developing as a person. I mean,
yeah,
and now that like you have these experiences, it makes sense that you're kind of at this place where you're like, all right, I kind of want to like tailor this thing a little bit more and like really like.
I just want to be more honest.
Yeah. We had a whole conversation about that at one point when you were talking about like kind of switching things up a little bit and focusing more in certain aspects of your music, and how that was a big part of it. It was like, I want to be saying what I really feel I should be saying, what I want to say. I want that.
That's always going to continue to grow and change. So, I mean, I'm not like beating myself up or anything.
Yeah.
But there's definitely times where I'm like, Kings and Queens was lame. I want to make better music.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, no, Kings and Queens was great. Stop being a jerk to yourself.
Yeah. See, and that's the tug of war right there. All right, let's do a little bit more music, and then we're gonna wrap this thing up.
Yeah, we have one more song. This is a constant request, even though it's unreleased and recorded. My I guess project with Nate Sachs of local band The Life Hacks. Check them out. This is called When the Money's Gone. Up the phone, but you don't want conversation, and now you're alone with your thoughts. I wanted to know if you think that we could make it, but you said that you don't know. We had all these dreams that one day we'd own everything, but everything came at a price. So I gotta know, will you still be here when the money's gone? 'Cause I feel so strong when I'm with you. Oh, will you still be here when the feeling's gone? that we might end up as strangers. Stranger things have happened to me. When all of it's gone, all the memories of us have faded, and those unwritten songs of our lives, I've got to tell you, this means more to me. Our love is more than just stocks traded, and you've always had the golden key. So I gotta know, will you still be here when the money is gone? Or will you have to run away from me again? Or will you still be here when the feeling's gone? 'Cause I don't feel so strong when I'm without you. Oh, will you still be here when the money is gone? Will you still be here? I'm asking you. Oh, will you still be here? I'm asking you. Oh, will you still be here when the money is gone? When the money is gone. When the money is gone. Yeah. When the money is gone.
Wow. Kristi K, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
This was awesome. I'm really glad we finally got the opportunity to sit down, have a
Yeah.
conversation, hear some of the new music that you've got. And real quick, I also just want to say thank you to everybody that is tuned in and has hung out with us on this fine Monday evening. This is the Lockdown live stream. We do this typically every Sunday at 6 p.m. with a different artist or band to showcase the talent and skill and musicianship out here in Hampton Roads, and more specifically in Virginia Beach. If you are interested in supporting what we are doing, the best way you can do that is to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, make sure that you visit Kristi K's social medias. You can find her on Instagram and on Facebook at Kristi K Music. You can also find her on YouTube. It's Kristi K. And the links to all of that is in the description down below. And don't forget, October 29th, Dead End Roads, Kristi K's new single coming out October 29th, streaming on all platforms. So make sure that you guys check it out. I would consider it a nice big favor to me. So be sure to do that. It's the more views that it gets on the day of its release, the better shot it has at the algorithm picking it up and pushing it. So it's going to be a big deal. So make sure you guys do that. And again, Kristi, this has been phenomenal. I'm so glad we got to finally do this. So thank you very, very much for coming onto the show and doing this with me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, folks. Well, with that, good night.
Boom.